Good morning, good evening, and happy Sabbath, church. My topic today is trust in the Lord. In the Psalms, we have a wonderful chapter which teaches us about trust in the Lord. We will look at some of the verses on this subject. The first one is found in the 37th chapter in the first 11 verses. We are told some things to do and some things not to do. The first verse says, we are not to fret. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb. It is repeated in the 7th and 8th verse, for fret not thyself in other words. Don't be upset, don't get angry, don't worry. What is it then that we are to do instead of fret? The next line says, trust in the Lord. And notice that trust is not a substitute for work. We are also to find that in the 3rd verse, trust in the Lord and do good. Trust in the Lord and do something. Faith is not a substitute for action, but it inspires action. Another lesson in this verse comes from the next, trust in the Lord and do good. So shall thou dwell in the land. Dwell means to live, to stay, and to inhabit. In other words, the way to meet problems is not to run away because they fret us. Settle down and meet the problem by trusting God and doing good. And what is the result? Verily, thou shalt be fed, satisfied physically and spiritually. Now notice the 4th verse, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Another translation says, he shall give you the petitions of thy heart. In other words, he will give you what you ask for. So then, trust is not a substitute for prayer, just as it is not a substitute for work. It inspires prayer as it inspires work. The more we trust God, and the more we will request things of God if we trust him. Then we know he is interested in what we need. And so that will cause us to pray more and not less. Verse 5, commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. The Hebrew word for commit is roll, as in to roll away. Roll your burdens away, Jesus says. Let go of it and let it roll upon me. Choose to let go of your worries. The trust goes with the committing as we turn loose of our burdens. We are to believe that he takes them away and accepts us, and he makes himself responsible for our success. That is what the second part of verse 5 tells us, and he shall bring it to pass. Now let us look at verse 7. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. A part of trusting is resting and waiting. Trust does not do away with the need for waiting. Some people think that if a man has enough faith, then he can get things done right away. That when he prays, it will be done right away. But the people of God in this last generation are described as having patience. Revelations 14:12 says, here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Patience comes by waiting. Trust is not a substitute for waiting, but it keeps us hopeful during the waiting period. Now the expression again in this verse, to rest in the Lord and wait. That word rest is in the Hebrew means to hold our peace, be still, and keep silence. When we have done our best, there is a time to wait silently. Be still and know that I am God.